Wanted to ask you about the plays, the suspensions this week that you had Gronk and you had Smith-Schuster, but George Iloka somehow talked his way out of a suspension. I mentioned that,
Yeah, right.
that this isn't the targeting rule that college has, but it's the NFL's version of a targeting rule. They have more time to review this. You have a 24-hour period where you can say, you know what, on second thought, we're going to suspend you for a game, as opposed to in college, you got 90 seconds to look at a review, maybe not all the angles, and you could decide a college football game by sending out a marquee player for targeting. Do you think the NFL, with 10 suspensions for on-the-field play, has a targeting rule? It's just not not using that name.
Well, they've had a targeting rule forever. It's called the fine system. Brandon Stokely tweeted about it yesterday, and he's a guy who's got many, many years of catching footballs in the NFL, and he's just like, the reason that's the deterrent is the fine system, and the reason why they have targeting in college, you can't find the players. My problem with targeting in college is it is where replay is used to judge intent sometimes, which is dumb. It's crazy. Where you think, it's intent and you don't know if it's intent. Let's go under the hood and let's check out intent. And then you go under the hood and you see, well, a little piece of the helmet caught a little part of his face mask. So that's it. The kid's not out. They're now out for the game and out for the next half of the next game. And it's so arbitrary between the Pac-12 and the Big Ten and the SEC, and it drives me insane, that rule. Part of me agrees with Mike Mitchell with his soliloquy yesterday, where he said he got fined because Andy Dalton threw a bad ball.
Oh, yeah.
Where he threw it in a spot where anybody who reads a defense knows the defense that Mike Mitchell is playing, and a quarterback should know not to throw it in spot X, because in spot X his receiver is going to get blown up. I remember the weekend where this all kind of changed in the NFL, Dan. If you remember, I forget which season it was, but it was when Eric Legrand got wound up getting carted off, and then eventually, as we found out, paralyzed, and they hit in Rutgers. And then the next day, three incidents happened where Muhammad Massaquoi was blown up by James Harrison. Brandon Merriweather went top rope in the middle of the field against Todd Heap, the tight end of Baltimore. And Deshaun Jackson got absolutely obliterated coming across the middle by Dante Robinson of the Falcons. And Marshall Faulk went on game day morning the next week and said the play of Dante Robinson blowing up Deshaun Jackson was on his quarterback, who I believe was Nick Foles, and also on Deshaun Jackson, who should have known running through the middle of the field what defense he was running into, and he kept running. Foles threw behind him, and Robinson blew him up because that's the type of defense that was being played. And Jackson should have known he needed to stop in the middle of the field, otherwise he's running into trouble. So these things need to be taken into account sometimes, that the players are all instinctive, to bring it, I guess, all full circle, is they are instinctively making plays. And targeting does not take that into account. They think that somebody's going to come across the middle and say, might be called for targeting. So let me, like the magic bullet, change my path in midair and try and avoid the hit. And it just angers a lot of people. It's just not a perfect system. When it all comes down to it, there should be some form of uniform suspension, that if you are flagged for X and you make contact with body part Y with helmet, that equals this suspension, and that's it. And we've just fit it in a box, and everyone is a fan and a player and a coach and an announcer understands what it is.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.